Hello YouTubers and welcome to another episode. We've made it to a new week, we've made it to Monday, no suit Monday today, but as always, regardless of what you're wearing, it's a case of looking good, feeling good and hopefully rowing good, but you can enter any activity in the third. Today, hopefully you can get on the water and have a lovely paddle with Charlie, both so you can look at my technique and also so I can compare myself against him to see how I'm doing, because paddling by yourself, you can feel good or you can feel like you're improving, but if you're not doing the right things, then it's not going to be a great one, if that makes sense. But now we're on a walk with Yam. Yam was it? Oh. And we're going to finish off this walk. We've got the smoothie to fuel up this morning, and then we're going to get on the water, so let's get to it. And we've made it back to the boat house, put the boat back on the rack, and pretty good session this morning. Still working on what we're working on for the previous month, but still improving and still getting there. Charlie out in the water today, a little bit of tips and tricks and just trying to keep on the improvement curve. And it's quite easy just to think, oh, I've got better and it's going to get better. It's trying to be proactive and trying to keep on stepping forward and not just underestimate how difficult it might be to make those changes, especially the changes that it's trying to break habits that I've ingrained in myself from whether it was sweep rowing or just bad habits of me rowing badly, if that makes sense. So big one with the wrists and the hands. If you're unaware, with there's smaller oars, smaller sculling oars, the handles, so you sort of feather and square, move the blade like this, move the handle, but in sweeping it's a bit thicker and you have two hands on it, so you can feather a bit more like this, more down in the hand, if that makes sense. So it's different there, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's just having the control in the fingers for me, on top of the other things that I should be doing on the water wise, like squaring a bit earlier, keeping my blades off the water, balancing the boat and all that. But that's more of a result of rowing better, if that makes sense, rather than what do I need to do to actually do those things. So you can't just say square earlier or blades off the water, be balanced, because you have to figure out why are the blades not squaring early, why am I not balanced, etc. If that makes sense. But as always, help from the Yamsquad has been greatly appreciated. Some tips and tricks from you, just making me think about, okay, can I do this better, can I do that better? Will the Yamsquad notice if things are improving? If not, but pushing me along. Thank you very much, Yamsquad. And now it's time to fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. And we've made it back to the house. We've already fueled up. I didn't quite catch the fueling up process this morning or this afternoon, second breakfast time, because I was so ravenous and I was wolfing it down after a lovely session on the water. But now we have to restock the fridge. It's that time of the week to do the weekly shop. And Yam is waiting patiently. Yam? Oh, there he is. Can you get less shade? He's waiting patiently at the door to come along and help me with the food shop. But we're going to get to the shop and let you guys know why I get the stuff I get to help fuel me up during the week. Oh yeah. Yam. 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 And now the journey back to the house. I have had to readjust things in the bag to have it an even weight distribution, but Yam's helping me, lifting up the hill. Then we're going to get back into the house and I'll discuss the thoughts behind what I've bought and what I've actually bought. Oh yeah! Yam's struggling with the heat, and so am I. I'm about to burst into flames walking up these hills, because Bath is kind of known for the lack of flats, but that also makes an interesting video trying to cycle, so make sure you subscribe for that. But let's get back to the house, hopefully not too sweaty. And the food has made it and I'm quite sweaty. Like I said, the hills in Bath are known to be hilly. Fantastic, but I'll put the food away and have a little bit of a discussion of said food. Oh yeah! And we've finished fueling up once more. Had a delicious smoothie, some scrambled eggs and some toasted buns. In the smoothie this time, peanut butter, banana, milk and an avocado, or half an avocado. Absolutely delicious. You should definitely try that out. Maybe if it's a little bit not sweet enough, you can add some honey to that too. But onto the food for the weekly shop. The food itself this week or today wasn't quite a full week, just because, as you saw, I was walking up and to and from the shop up the hills of Bath, and I only had one bag and I didn't want to carry two bags, and you saw how sweaty I was with that one bag, so I had to kind of be sensible with what I was buying, so I knew it could fit in one bag and not be too heavy to walk up. So, meat-wise, for the week, I have a kilo of chicken thighs and a kilo of chicken breasts. I think it's a kilo, maybe it's a little bit more. And then some mince as well. The reason I kind of vary the thighs and the chicken breast is chicken breast, a little bit more fat in there, but again, it's skinless and boneless, so it's not too bad, but still a little bit more fat. Chicken breast, less fat in there. But the chicken thighs are cheaper, chicken breast more expensive. But when you buy it in those big packets,
it is relatively cheap. Then onto the beef mince, 5% I think I went for this week, 5% fat. Tend to go for the lower fats depending on what I'm going to eat, but I'm not making any sort of burgers, meatballs or anything, so I went for the lower fat content, and I'll be frying that out in some sort of meal, just throwing in some of the peppers, the spring onions, or whatever other vegetables I have in the fridge, just to make a sort of beef dish, if that makes sense. And then you might have noticed that there's not a lot of carbs in this week's basket, and that's again one of the reasons I only had so much space in the basket to bring up the hill, so much in that bag. But I also have quite a lot of carbs in the house currently. My favourite carb being, of course, basmati rice, which is easily accessible. I've got the remnants of a 20 kilo bag currently, maybe 10 kilos or so in there, so that'll last me another few weeks. So all good in that regard, but again, I can have some pasta or other carbs to go in there. And I wanted to get some yams and some sweet potatoes and some other heavier vegetables, but again, ran out of space. So I'll probably go back to the shop maybe in a couple of days to help vary up the carbs and help get some heavier things from the shop so that I can keep the variation, because remember, variation is one of the keys to motivation, but also helping with the nutrients as well. So I could only get so many vegetables in the basket, so some broccoli, peppers, green onions, or spring onions, and that's about it really. So I want to go back and get some sweet potatoes, some actual normal potatoes, and just different vegetables as well, and more fruit. I actually forgot some frozen fruit, so I could put it into the smoothie. And you don't actually have to have frozen fruit. Last time I got some of the reduced strawberries, it was like 12 pence for a punt of strawberries, so I took the stalks out strawberries and I had like 3 or 4 bags of frozen strawberries, just put them in a bag and put them in the freezer after they were not frozen to start with, whereas you can go buy the frozen ones in the frozen aisle, completely up to you. So I have to go back for that. And then what else did I buy? I didn't really buy much else apart from that, but that is generally what I'll buy every week. About 3 kilos of meat of some variation, whether it's chicken, beef, some fish of some sort, or even the tuna as well I've got in there as well. So generally I'll have that for more of a lunchtime snack, a 10 or 2 per carb meal. And again, that's just another opportunity for me to get enough protein in, as well as hit the carbs hard as well. So I'll have my rice, have my pasta, have my potatoes, or have my other vegetables too. But hopefully that is an interesting little insight into what I would eat during a week. Basically, it is just being really, really simple, and it's actually relatively cheap as well. So that all of that what I bought today was about £40. And as soon as you start adding a lot of, you can add loads of different spices or buy some special things to make it definitely taste better, but you can end up running into it costing a lot more. You can make a meal, so if that chicken, a kilo for £8, and say a kilo of rice, maybe £2 at most, and the kilo, you'll probably run at least 3 meals for that much chicken, that much rice, and obviously a little bit of spices here and there, and add some vegetables in there, so you're talking about £4, £5 a meal, and getting a lot of calories in there, talking between 1,000 and 1,500, maybe even closer to 2,000 calories per meal, rather than just trying to, you can sometimes go, I've got a recipe that I want to really try. You go to the shop, say you want to buy, or you want to make a new lasagna, you get the lasagna sheets, you buy the beef, then you go, I need some cheese, and then you end up spending 20 quid on a meal, just one meal, rather than kind of being mindful. But of course that depends if you want to stick to a reasonable budget or you have lots to spend. And Yam here is nice and chilled out after his lovely walk to the shop. He's enjoyed his little snack too. But I'm fueled up for another outing. Hopefully we'll get on the bike. It's a pretty windy, but it is a lovely sunny day out there. So I might actually try and find some hills. I've been looking at some different routes on Strava. I've been exploring Strava to see what routes it's kind of taking me. You can like type in there if it's or you should avoid, if you want to avoid hills, keep them flat. But around Bath, you can't really, there's only so many hills you can avoid. But I've checked one, it's about a 50k ride that I've made my own little loop, or loops, and it covers almost 1300 meters of elevation. So I think that should be pretty interesting, because the last one I did about 50k and it was 390 elevation, which I thought was quite a lot. So this one should be quite interesting. I think I'll do that this week. Be an interesting video to share with you guys, because I might end up going halfway there, halfway around the loop, and thinking, oh my goodness, I can't climb any more hills. So I'll probably not do that tomorrow, because I'll be cycling today. But I think I'm going to go out for a relatively chilled one, just try and get the speed going, keep the cadence going, not trying to find too many hills, but at the same time getting a good workout in on the bicycle. So that will be it for today's video, Yamsquad. If you do want to follow me on Strava, there's a little link to my profile in the description below. And as always, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button. And Yam and I will see you in the next episode. How you?